women have been hugely disadvantaged because they haven't had coverage. If you don't get coverage, you don't get sponsorship. If you don't get sponsorship, you don't get investment, and so on. And that's not
Hey
just...
everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. If you're going to enjoy today's video and want more content like this, then feel free to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel. Now today we start things off with Jimmy Kimmel, who had some players from the US women's national team as guests. Megan Rapinoe and Alex Morgan came to the show fresh from winning the Women's World Cup. Kimmel told them that he believes that women's teams should be paid way more than men's teams. Let's see what happened next.
This has become a big topic of conversation. You want equal pay, which I think, by the way, I think is a mistake. Shouldn't you be paid more because you... I know the men's tournament is a bigger umbrella overall, but when it comes to the U.S. teams, how many World Cups has the men's team won? None of them, right? I mean,
this time we have Ben Shapiro, and he was saying that the pay gap doesn't exist, and that the statistics also say that the pay gap is non-existent. He says, though, that there is a pay gap, but that is only because there are factors like work hours or women choosing to be at home with the kids and so forth.
The pay gap is one of the most overwrought, ridiculous things in American public life. The notion that women are being paid less for the same exact work is not backed by statistical evidence. The reality is that the pay gap is almost entirely a creation of differentials in work hours, in jobs chosen. It is a differential in time taken off from the workforce. Women tend to take more time out of the workforce because they want to be home with the kids in many cases. The basic idea that a woman works an hour, a man works an hour, exact same job, exact same credentials, and so the woman gets paid less is just silly. It actually is not true. It's been widely debunked. Christina Hoff Sommers has done that work many, many times before. In fact, in America's largest cities, it's been true for years that people who are fresh out of college without having taken time out of the workforce, women in the same industries tend to be paid as highly or more than men. That's according to Time magazine. That goes back a full decade.
Next, we have Piers Morgan and Susanna Reid on Good Morning Britain. They decided to join in on the debate. Morgan argues that women's soccer has improved, but that should not be the focus. He says that at the end of the day, they will never be as stronger or faster than men or beat them in the sport.
I should think even in the last 2 years, there's been an improvement in the women's game. We should focus on that rather than the comparison with men, because women will never beat men at football. Physiologically, they won't be able to. I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. It's not a sexist comment to say that.
No, and I
That's
accept
a reality.
that on strength and power and physicality, I accept that you're right. My point is that whether on skill, they could beat them.
Well, Serena Williams is a very skillful tennis player, right? She's the most skillful tennis player in the history of women's tennis.
Also very powerful.
Right, but she would be comprehensively thrashed by any of the top 100 men in the world.
We have the panel on The View who were speaking about the pay gap topic after the US women's national team won the World Cup. They reported that the tournament was paying way less than the men's sport, and they were absolutely shocked. One of them came out with a statement that got everyone laughing.
People expressed outrage on social media about the gender pay gap for women players, especially in light of the fact that the Women's World Cup final in 2015 was the most watched soccer game in the United States history. For that, they get paid 38 cents on the dollar compared to male players.
Yes.
38 cents.
On the dollar.
On the dollar.
Men didn't even qualify for the World Cup this year.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Ben Shapiro went off on the debate of the pay gap in women's soccer. He believes that men are generally better at sports than women, and they are bigger and faster and stronger, and that therefore that is a huge part of why the demand is higher, as mentioned before. He also expresses that the whole argument is just silly.
Right? Excellence of skill, gender and sex may in fact be relevant to that, considering that men are generally better at sports than women because they have different musculature than women and different skill sets than women. In the same way that a Little League game is not the same as a Major League Baseball game, certain sports are not the same if men and women play them. The WNBA is not the same as the NBA. There's a reason no one is paying to watch women shoot layups, as opposed to, you know, dunking and shooting three-pointers and all of that. And yet there is this push that is on to suggest that women are being victimized by the World Cup and by the U.S. soccer program because they're not being paid the same as the men. This is absolutely silly. It's absolutely silly. MLS is a successful league in the United States. The soccer.
We end things off with a debate on Good Morning Britain again, and there were two women that were debating about the pay gap in women's sports. They argued that there's a lot of viewership for women's sports, and that's why some should get the same pay, though it was also argued that there's not enough commercial backing.
women have been hugely disadvantaged because they haven't had coverage. If you don't get coverage, you don't get sponsorship. If you don't get sponsorship, you don't get investment, and so on. And that's not...
To be fair, if there's not enough sponsorship or demand, then it's hard to come up with the funds for female athletes to earn as much as men. One of the presenters argued that viewership is only high for a women's sport when the World Cup comes round. Other than that, it's not as high as men's on a regular basis. Thanks for watching this video, everyone. If you enjoyed it, then feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this and much more. Let us know what you think about all this in the comments down below. Goodbye for now, everyone, and we'll see you next time.